Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsey's Little Library. So today I am here to share with you my Historathon 2.5 readathon TBR of Possibilities, because there's no way I'm getting this many books done in 10 days, but I just couldn't narrow it down to specifics because I want to give myself some options. So this is going to be the pile that I'm going to pull from when we do the Historathon 2.5 readathon. We are starting that November 1st, and it's going through the 10th, so you have 10 full days of historical fiction, fun. It's like the best of, I mean, who isn't excited for this? I don't even know. I can't comprehend. So anyways, there's 5 prompts for you to follow. So I'm like, you could read one book for each prompt. You could find a book that covers all 5 prompts. You could find a book that covers 2 or 3 prompts. Whatever you want to do with it, there are really no rules. There's just guidelines and suggestions. So with the 5 prompts, I'm going to give you a few books that I have that have been sitting on my shelves for a while that I'm hoping to get through one for each prompt over the next 10 days. So our first prompt is a book involving some sort of transportation. It could be a boat, it could be a carriage, it could be a car, it could be a plane, it could be a road trip, whatever you interpret as some sort of transportation. So I have a couple of options here. One of them is a newer book that I hauled not that long ago that I'm really excited about. It's called Surviving Savannah by Patty Callahan. This follows what they considered the Titanic of the South. It was a luxury steamship that sank in 1838 with some of Savannah's elite on board. So a history professor, Everly Winthrop, is asked to guest curate a new museum collection focusing on artifacts recovered from the steamship Pulaski, which is a city in Wisconsin, so it kind of makes me excited. She is super shocked that she's been picked for this opportunity. The ship sank after a boiler explosion in 1838, and the wreckage was just discovered 180 years later. Everly can't resist the opportunity to try to solve some of the mysteries and myths surrounding the devastating night of its sinking. Her research leads her to an astonishing history of a family of 11 who boarded the Pulaski together, and the extraordinary stories of 2 women from this family, a known survivor, Augusta, and her niece Lily, who along with her child was never found. And that was when I got hooked. So super excited about this book. I'm starting to wonder, I'm thinking it's told in dual timelines. It is. So we have 1838 and then present day. We've got Everly, we've got Lily. We're going to learn all about this family and what happened. And I cannot wait for this journey. So I'm super excited about that one. So that's a newer book that I've had. A book that has been sitting on my shelves for a while is an Ariel Lawhon book, with which I have not read her in quite a bit, so I feel like I need to revisit her. I love. There's 3 of her books that stick out in my mind that have made it into my top books of all time at some point in time. So we have The Wife, the Maid, and Mistress, I Was Anastasia, and Codename Helene. All amazing books, and I love them. So I like how Ariel takes an event that happened in history and puts her own spin on it. So this one is called Flight of Dreams. It follows the Hindenburg blimp and what happened there. So on the evening of May 3rd, 1937, 97 people boarded the Hindenburg for its final doomed flight to Lakehurst, New Jersey. Among them are a frightened stewardess who is not what she seems, the steadfast navigator determined to win her heart, a naive cabin boy eager to earn a permanent spot on the world's largest airship, an impetuous journalist who has been blacklisted in her native Germany, and an enigmatic American businessman with a score to settle. Over the course of 3 hazy, champagne-soaked days, their lies, fears, agendas, and hopes for the future are revealed. Really excited. And it's a skinny book, so I can only imagine what she has in store for us. Like I said, Ariel Lawhon, just the way she writes and the way she interprets these stories, I think is just really unique. And just, she's amazing. So that's my other book of possibilities. For our first prompt. Our next prompt is a book that you feel you are the last person to read. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a book that's been super popular. It definitely could. It could also be a book that you just seem to see everywhere. So I have 3 options for this one. The one that I think you'll recognize the most is The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. This was also made into a movie, so this could be a dual prompt option for me if I needed it to be. But it says a most untraditional love story that is the celebrated tale of Henry, a dashing, adventuresome librarian who involuntarily travels through time, and Claire, an artist whose life takes a natural sequential course. So Henry visits Claire throughout her life at various times. Their passionate affair endures across the sea of time and captures them in an impossibly romantic trap that tests the strength of fate and basks in the bonds of love. This book is really heavy. Like, I don't know if it's different. It's not quite floppy, but it just is a heavier book, and I don't know why. I'm very intrigued by how the actual publishing of this, but that's one of my options. Next one I have that I was seeing for a while all over Instagram is The Confessions of Franny Langton by Sarah Collins. This came out maybe a year ago, something like that. So this one, first of all, I love this cover. I love everything about the looks. Just kind of brings you in the atmosphere. So Frances Langton, also known as Ebony Fran or Dusky Fran, was indicted for the willful murder of George Benham and Marguerite Benham in that she, on the 27th day of January in the year of our Lord 1826, did feloniously and maliciously assault George and Marguerite, subjects of our Lord and King, and that she did strike and stab them until they were dead, both about the upper chest of their bodies having been discovered by the housekeeper. So no one knows the worst thing that they're capable of until they do. She's a servant, a former slave, and she's accused of murdering her employer and his wife. So you get the full story and see what happens. But I was seeing this everywhere, and I feel like I'm the last person to pick this up. Another one that I feel like I'm the last person to pick this up is more from like my local book club perspective. My friend Nicole still can't believe that I have not read Pam Jenoff's new book. It's The Woman with the Blue Star. Pam Jenoff, I have fallen in love with her books as well. She wrote The Lost Girls of Paris, which I absolutely loved. So this one's 1942. We have Sadie. She's 18 and living with her parents amid the horrors of a ghetto during World War II. The Nazis liquidate the ghetto. Sadie and her pregnant mother are forced to seek refuge in the sewers beneath the city. One day, Sadie looks up through a grate and sees a girl about her own age buying flowers, and that would be Ella. She is a Polish girl living a life of relative ease with her stepmother, who has developed a close alliance with the occupying Germans. Scorned by her friends and longing for her fiancé, who has gone off to war, Ella wanders Krakow restlessly. While on an errand in the market, she catches a glimpse of something moving beneath a grate in the street. On closer inspection, she realizes it's a girl hiding, which would be Sadie. Ella begins to aid Sadie, and the two become close, but as the dangers of war worsen, their lives are set on a collision course that will test them in the face of overwhelming odds. But my friend, like I said, Nicole said she read this really quick. She said it would be perfectly up my alley. So that is another one I feel like I am the last person to pick up. Next prompt is a book with a 3-word title. So we thought this would give you kind of a open possibility to pick up any sort of subgenre within a historical fiction field. Just find a book that has a 3-word title. It could be a middle grade as well. It could be anything else. But I feel like it gives you a lot of possibilities. And I feel like I've seen a lot of historical fiction books have 3-word titles lately, which is interesting. As well as women on the cover that have their backs to us. I don't get it. The first book that I have that I picked up relatively not that long ago is The Yankee Widow by Linda Lael Miller. This one follows it's a richly layered emotional novel about one woman's courage and the choices she makes in the face of danger. On the eve of the deadliest battle of the war, Caroline is a widow raising her daughter on her Gettysburg farm. So I was looking for more Civil War era books. With troops and looters roaming the countryside, Caroline must keep her loved ones safe while extending kindness to the neediest around her, including 2 soldiers fighting on opposite sides. Both are wounded, both offer comfort. But only one secretly captures her heart. Still, she must resist in such uncertain times as these. I also have The Trader's Wife, which is more revolutionary, by Alison Pataki. This one was talked about in our live not that long ago. I can't think of who brought it up, but somebody did. And so I'm like, I have that on my shelf somewhere, and I went and found it. So this one follows kind of the story of Benedict Arnold, the Revolutionary War general who betrayed America and fled to the British. As history's most notorious turncoat, many know that Arnold's co-conspirator, Major John Andre, who was apprehended with Arnold's documents in his boots and handed at the orders of General George Washington. And hanged on the orders of General George Washington. But few know of the integral third character in the plot, a charming young woman who not only contributed to the betrayal but orchestrated it. So this follows her. So excited for this book. I think it would be very interesting. It might be a good audiobook. I should find it. And the last one I have is The Last Midwife by Sandra Dallas. I love Sandra Dallas books and I don't pick them up often enough. This takes place in 1880. Gracie Brookins is the only midwife in a small Colorado mining town where she's delivered hundreds, maybe thousands of babies in her lifetime. The women of this town trust and depend on her, and most couldn't imagine getting through pregnancy and labor without her by their side. But everything changes when a baby's found dead, and the evidence points to Gracie as the murderer. What is going to happen? I don't even know. All right, my next prompt is a book to movie adaptation. Lots of possibilities for this one. I have 2 on my shelves that are definitely on my radar. Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe by Fannie Flagg. This one is a movie I have seen and I love it and I watch it religiously. It's fantastic. I've just never read the book. Yeah, it's the story of 2 women in the 1980s, of gray-headed Mrs. Threadgood telling her life story to Evelyn. Of course, I'm going to picture all of these characters as they are in the movie, but I'm excited to pick that one up eventually. And then this one, again, could fit in the category of a book I feel like everyone else has read and I have not, is The Bridgerton. This is The Duke and I. It's the first one in the series by Julia Quinn. This was turned into a series on Netflix, which everybody was going crazy over. I want to say kind of towards the end of last year. So it's Regency London, ballrooms, drawing rooms, and we follow, I think, some sisters. Yeah, Daphne Bridgerton is the 4th of 8 siblings in her close-knit family. She has formed relationships with the most eligible young men in London. So those are 2 I'm very excited about. And then for my middle grade options is probably my biggest pile of possibilities for the readathon. I have 5 books I could potentially read. I have The True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle. This one and Sophia's War are both by I think you say Abby or Amy, those are both by the same author. This one takes place, we have 13-year-old Charlotte Doyle is excited to return home to Rhode Island after spending her going to school in England, and so she's coming back for the summer in 1832. When 2 families she's supposed to travel with mysteriously cancel their trips, she ends up being on the ship by herself, and after stepping aboard the ship she becomes part of a conflict between some of the captain and this very malicious crew. Things are not looking like they're great. What begins as an eagerly anticipated ocean crossing turns into a harrowing journey where Charlotte gains a villainous enemy and is put on trial for murder. And then Sophie's War. This is 1776, Revolutionary War in America rages, and the New York City is newly occupied by the powerful British Army. Young Sophia Calderwood's beloved soldier brother William is being held on a prison ship by the British. She is horrified and she resolves to avenge his brutal treatment and help advance the patriot cause. She soon gets her chance. She's recruited by a mysterious gentleman. Sophia becomes a spy in the home of the supreme commander of the British forces. Both of these sound fantastic. I have Prisoner B3087 by Ellen Gratz. Again, another author I absolutely love. My daughter actually just finished this and was like, Mom, what are you waiting for? I know. But takes place in a concentration camp during World War II. I have Little House on the Prairie, which I have not reread in forever, that I could always pick up. And then again, based upon the live, I think Tia was talking about this book, Fever 1793 by Laurie Hulse Anderson. We have the summer of 1793. Maddie Cook lives above the family coffee shop with her widowed mother and grandfather. She spends her days avoiding chores and making plans to turn the family business into the finest Philadelphia she's ever seen. When the fever breaks out, disease sweeps the streets, destroying everything in its path and turning Maddie's world upside down. At her feverish mother's insistence, Maddie flees the city with her grandfather, but she soon discovers that the sickness is everywhere, and Maddie must learn quickly how to survive in a city turned frantic with disease. I feel like it's very good timing. Good timing. So that's my other option. Again, there's no way I'm getting through all of these books during this readathon, during these 10 days. I'm hoping to get one in each category is really my goal. I really hope you guys decide to join in on this Historathon, Readathon 2.5. Again, there are no rules, there's just suggestions. We're really just looking for you to read historical fiction during the first 10 days of November and share with us your journey along the way, whether you comment on the videos, post stuff on Instagram, anywhere you want to spread the word and come along with us. I think it's going to be a really fun time. I'm hoping to do at least one vlog or at least do some sort of update as I go through the readathon and let you know how things are going. But yeah, that's my TBR. I am hosting this with Amanda at the Curly Reader, so feel free to head over to her channel and see what she has as far as her plans are for the readathon for the 10 days. And if any of these stick out as something that you think I really should pick up before the others, comment below and let me know. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.